Tonight, it's a wrap with Tupac, and Biggie Smalls is up on deck. Nikki B is back to explain and enter our brain. Is Biggie still with us in our minds and hearts, or is he truly alive? These and many more questions will be examined next on Conspiracy Corner. And with that said, Nikki B, are you there with us, bud?
I'm here, Rich. I'm here.
Yo, man, welcome back, brother. I'm glad to have you. We're going to wrap up this Tupac thing from last week, and we're going to hopefully delve into some Biggie Smalls, man.
Heck yeah, dude. I've been excited. I've been chopping the bit all week. I knew I was coming back, and, I got some more scoop on Biggie, and I'm excited, man. It's going to be a great one.
Sweet, man, sweet. So how'd your week go, man? Anything interesting besides this before we jump into the good stuff?
Oh, man, it's been a good week. I had a trippy encounter at the barber shop about some Masonic temples and an old hospital and a suicide. And, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Wow.
But it was good. It was good.
I got to get with you on that, brother. You just wet my whistle. I mean, you just hold on. You said you were at the barber shop. I think if it's the place I'm thinking, I know that cat, and he has all kind of info all the time.
He does.
The Masonic Lodge. Underground tunnels. Yep. At a hospital, yep. And a suicide. Oh man, that sounds. Yeah, go ahead. That sounds like a story.
Crazy enough, bro, the actor Brad Pitt was born in this hospital in 1965. This hospital is no longer open for business, but I guess a chick threw herself off it was like a 6-story building. She just tossed herself off of it.
Wow.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Well, yeah, man, it's an interesting thing. I'd love to find out some more about all that stuff. It was a great day at the barbershop. My 45 minutes at the barbershop turned into like 4 hours.
I bet it did, brother. I bet it did.
Oh, seriously, bro. I mean, I was there. He locked up, and we went for a walk around the area there downtown where I stay, and he was showing me some stuff, man. It blew my mind. And I guess recently Brad Pitt had donated some money to keep this building in part of the historical society,
Mm-hmm.
So they put a brick out there with his name and his date of birth and everything. It's a trip.
Okay. That makes it a little more interesting. There is another piece to the said puzzle. We're going to have to investigate that, man. Get out there, maybe do some live footage, maybe some live Facebook updates. And that's something we could do with the Conspiracy Corner, man. And I could have you involved with me on that, man. And we'll just knock that out, dude.
I'd love to. This whole thing has really intrigued me. It's been on my mind all week. And this Masonic building is not like one I've ever seen before. So, I can't wait for us to do something on that and just, maybe even get some other people's opinions of all these things too. I think that would be great.
No doubt. Well, man, we'll talk about that after the show. Tupac, man, and then we'll go into Biggie. So last week we ended with Tupac. I think we were around the part where there was a couple of different escape route stories, theories of him getting out of the hospital. We brought up the possibility of several different hits being on his head, whether it be through the music industry and Suge or Quincy Jones. We never brought up the whole East Coast possibility of the beef with Biggie, because I never bought into that part, because we'll get into that later in the show, because Pac and Biggie were tight, dude. But we'll get into that. But we kind of ended it abruptly because we had brought up the whole Quincy Jones Pac thing, and there were so many theories that people said, there's these different factions. that had hits or marks on his head. You brought up Michael Nice.
Yes.
And I think that we had got to South Africa. And
well, we've
ahead,
gone
brother.
through Africa and Cuba, and then kind of led up to my opinion of them being in Honduras.
Okay.
And when I say them, I'm going to expand on that, talk about Lisa Lopez, Left Eye from TLC, Biggie, etc. You know, because there's a lot of people out there that think that he's still alive too. Biggie's still alive too, and of course we'll get into that a little bit more. But overall, I think that this collective, tight knit group that Tupac and or Biggie had is in Honduras, probably. I mean, Left Eye bought property there. She bought 50 acres right before she died. It's not because Honduras is like in the top 10 most desirable places to live, because it's not.
Right.
So, you know, there's reasons for it. You know, and I've seen some stuff that it was turned into like or that she had plans to turn it into like a youth center or something like that. But we're talking about 50 acres. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's over a square mile big. So yeah, it just seems weird. You know, I think we touched a tiny bit on this before. But all these people that were close to Pac died within, you know, a few years after he died. Lisa Lopez, what was the other dude? Gaddafi, who's now supposedly in the rap group with Pac and Biggie, and then goes by what's he go by? Charlie Tuna. And I think, you know, we looked at some of those comparison photos and things, different things. I even heard that Tupac's mom, you know, faked her death and is with Tupac wherever the heck he's at. I don't think it's just, I just don't see it as being so coincidental, all these deaths, you know, to follow like that. It sounds like maybe he's got the perfect getaway plan, you know what I mean?
Right. And didn't you say something to me too, and that you were talking with the guy that said that he had spoke with the brother? Because I know it wasn't Pac's brother still alive, or is still alive. I'm not sure if he's still alive. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, he is. He is.
And then he had mentioned that, dropped kind of a hint like, you know, Pac's still with us. That he,
yeah,
like,
he
more or less like Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, there was a few interviews that I watched of him as well, which kind of confirmed what I had heard, where he said something to that effect. I don't know if it's real. Like I said before, I hope that it's real, but at the same time, I hope he's just wherever he's at, he's just doing what he likes to do. He's living a good life. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, many people think that he's still alive. Even people that are close to him have dropped hints that he's still alive. And you know, I'm not going to go into it too deeply because it's a whole other show, but this whole Illuminati thing, it really, I've noticed that it's so strong now. You know, they people that are members of that or claim to be members of that, they put it out there so obviously for us. You know, it's not a coincidence that 9 out of 10 musicians of any genre are doing photo shoots covering one eye or making the sound mannerism with their finger over their, you know, or throwing up the 666 or the pyramid. It's not coincidence that that's the way it is. You know, I mean, that's real. That's reality.
Well, it's been thrown in our face for I mean, decades, but we didn't have the communication abilities now that we have. I mean, you know, there's been people deciphering the codes for eons, and now we have this thing called the internet where I could talk with my friend over in China, and he might have a little bit of insight, or my friend over in India, or South Korea, or Costa Rica, or Canada, and we all get together in a group chat and we're sharing info, and before you know it, we're breaking codes of you know, the skull and bones, and you know, we're getting info, and you know, this guy has an insider here, and you know, just like you, man, and I'm not going to bring things up, but you know, I've got family members that are higher up in the military. You've got family that was higher up in the government. Other people do too. And with that happening, sometimes you hear stuff too. And, you know, that's just a part of life. That's how Phil Schneider was. Some people have family that work for NASA and they hear things. And then once their family member dies, they come out. They give them the respect and wait for them to die, and then they come out. But I don't want to get off topic. We're on, like I said, we're with Tupac and Biggie tonight. But what I'm saying is sometimes info is so easily accessed now or shared. That's how we're able to deduce things now a lot easier. And if anyone had the capability, Tupac had the capability of pulling off faking a death. He had
he did.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
You're right. He did have the money. I'm sorry. You're right, though. He did have the money to do it, and he had the mind to do it. Mm-hmm. But also, he had a lot of time on his hands. He just got out of prison.
Yeah,
he could have been plotting this whole thing and putting together all the pieces while in prison.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very easy thing to do in there, and it's all the means are necessary. You know, you get phone calls, you get internet, you get different things like this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a celebrity, you get a lot more things available, resources available to you. And having all that time on your hands, absolutely, you can research things and plan all these things out. But the reason I brought up the Illuminati was because, one, the Quincy Jones thing and the thing that happened with him and Tupac. But Illuminati, from all of my understanding, doesn't just stop at entertainment. It goes into government as well. It's huge in the government. And knowing that the feds were after him and the CIA was after him, you know, you could almost put pieces together where there was a hand maybe pushed from the entertainment side to the political side, which encouraged the FBI and the CIA. I mean, it's not like Tupac was an international drug kingpin or something, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Although it was said that Death Row was moving a lot of dope, but I don't think Tupac had enough time on his schedule to be involved in that stuff. Mm-hmm. My point was, Joe, that the Illuminati is very powerful, and I can see where somebody may be in fear for their life and want to get away.
Right. Well, you know, and I know we talked about towards the end of that interview with Tupac wanting to get away from death row as well.
Right.
And we had mentioned Snoop, and then we had the brain fart with Master P, with Snoop Dogg going down to Master P.
Right.
Sorry about that, folks. But with that said, I found it interesting. A friend of mine had sent me an email, and he was telling me we had a great episode back and forth. And he's like, in that email, he had sent me an article, and the article was talking about Snoop Dogg and Master P and what Snoop Dogg was saying in this interview. And I'm not going to quote the actual, you know, what he was saying, but it went along the lines of Snoop Dogg, Master P took him under his wing when he got down there and said, this is how real businessmen work, and showed Snoop how to make money in the record business. This is how you do it. And Snoop was just like, whoa, man. He said, I actually bought my first car, got my first house. He goes, because back on the West Coast, what was mine was Suge's, what was Suge's was Suge's, what was someone else's was Suge's. We weren't making nothing. And when I got down to Master P and them, it was a whole nother ball game, man. He goes, I was instantly making millions, and he showed us the way and how to do it. And so I get that. And I feel, and here's what I'm getting at, I'm trying to go back to Tupac with this, is Tupac, no one else could bail Tupac out but who? Suge, Death Row. So he was kind of tied to them. Like he had, well, I have no other choice. If I want to get out right now, they're the only ones that can front that bail money. So I guess I got to dance for him, more or less. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
I agree.
I got to play ball. He didn't want to be there, man. Nobody wants to be there, man. Nobody wanted to be associated with Suge, man. The guy was dirty. I mean, and the list is long, dude. Look at Vanilla Ice. I mean, people say that story. Some people say it's true. Some people say it's false. Why would Vanilla lie about that? Basically he shook him down and had him hanging off the top of the building. I believe it, man. If you look at all the other stories, this guy,
I believe it too.
This guy's a thug, and he got his money thugging people. Those types exist. They're all over the place. We grew up around them. We had friends that were like that. I mean,
absolutely.
We ran with guys like that, so we know. Anyways, back on the Tupac. So with all that going on, with everything going on in his life, and him facing those charges, and what you've told me, and if he is alive, Honduras or maybe Asia, man.
Yeah.
That's what I feel from everything that I've looked into and everything that you've told me. And
it's very possible.
So
I mean, you look at the rap group Jurassic 5, and they're huge in Asia, Europe. They're not so huge here. I don't know why. They're good.
Man, they are good. I never really listened to them until you hit me to them. And, man, they bring that old school funky vibe, and they put on a show like.
I'll tell you what I really like about them. I've noticed that even back when Pac and Biggie were still here and rapping, they'd have this huge entourage on stage, and everybody was kind of rapping over everybody. Like a live version, you would see Biggie on stage rapping, but 3 other dudes are rapping his lyrics with him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you could, a live version, you just really couldn't understand what the hell anybody was saying.
Yeah.
Jurassic 5 has got 4 dudes on the mics and 1 DJ, but they all stay to the old school sound where they take turns rapping.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that a lot. I'm kind of drawn to them. And their lyrics are cool too. They're not so much gangster,
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that. But what leads me to believe that maybe that's all these guys that have died or been killed or faked their deaths is because all the evidence that I've seen, there's so much photo evidence, and plus them as a whole, they're living opposite of the way they lived before.
Right, and the mannerisms and the handshakes, and you pointed out a lot of that to me too, and that was pretty amazing. If you go through and look at old footage of Pac and some of these guys, the mannerisms are just, and the handshakes they do. Certain posses and groups have certain handshakes. No one else makes them.
Right.
It's like in the NFL or the NBA, certain guys do shakes or shimmies or dances, and someone else does not copy that simply because that's not their style or their shake.
Right. Clubs, gangs,
right,
organizations, they all have their own private shake. Yeah, absolutely.
And when you showed me that and hit me to that, I was like, wow, okay, I see.
The smallest things can weigh so heavy on your mind, right? Like when you're investigating things like this.
Yeah, and then scars and certain teeth, and then so I don't know, but I always say it, and I know Nikki B lives by this. You got to find your own truths. We don't want to spend the rest of this with Tupac. We just want to put a little closure on it. I know he has some information on the Notorious B.I.G. We wanted to jump all over that tonight and give you some info on that. And I'm going to let him just take it away with that. I got some questions for him. But Tupac, if you're with us, we love you, brother. And if you're not, we'll see you at the Crossroads.
That's right. Sing it. Well, okay, about Biggie, man. Again, geez. Biggie, huge. Him and Tupac were the biggest things, man, at that time. And you know what's crazy? They're still huge today. I can honestly say that at least once a week I listen to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Biggie. I mean, wow. You know, first let me say this whole East Coast West Coast thing. I don't think that was even real, man. I think
Well, it
if I
was
remember correctly, I heard that there were still regular phone calls between Pac and Biggie, even when they were saying there was all this BS going on. There were still regular calls between them.
they were friends.
And I believe that was Tupac's main bodyguard, who was his bodyguard for like 6 years. Yeah, they were friends. They were still friends. That's why I think this whole West Coast East Coast thing was fake, and I think it was a narrative promoted to create violence and to increase record sales.
Hey, Nikki, I don't want to cut you off, but say the dates when this was going on. You don't even have to say it out loud. Just say it in your head for a minute. It was like 96?
Well, Pac died in 96. That beef was going on for a couple of years. So let's say 94, 95 into 96.
Okay, and let's just say that it started, and they said that the beef had been going on for a few years prior. So let's take it back to 93, 94. All right.
Okay.
The internet wasn't a thing then, really. It wasn't big. When did the internet start really getting popular, right? 99? Is that, I mean, when did it come out? 98? I can't even really remember. 97?
I think it was, the internet was around in 96, 97, but I don't think it really exploded to even nearly the capacity it is now, so at least 2000.
Okay. Let's put it this way. I got my first home computer in 98. All right. And I remember getting on the internet, but all you really had, it was like a lot of text room chat stuff going on. And I was I was working for a graphic place, so I would try and look for logos and stuff to pull down. But anyways, back on track with that. I think it was all media driven, dude. You know how and I hate bringing it up, but they're like, oh, fake news. Man, that could have been fake. It was fake news being pumped to the media. And guess what? Pumped through the media to the public. And we had no other sources of info but those, we had the MTVs, we had Source Magazine, we had, like the other magazines, and then we had ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. And what they told us, that was truth. So if they said that rap was bad and it was gang violence and it was East Coast versus West Coast, man, people were buying into that, dude. And then the gang started buying into it. So, yeah, we didn't know any better.
You're right. We didn't. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think that Biggie and Pac really had that beef like it was made out to be. I know there was a time where Pac was accused of sleeping with Biggie's wife, and then one made a song slamming one, the other one made a song in retaliation, and back and forth. And that's kind of where it ended, as far as in the public eye. Could that have all been to promote album sales? Yeah, maybe it could have been. I don't know. It's a very good possibility. But I do think that Biggie was smart enough to not want to continue to stay with Diddy and Bad Boy Records. I think, like you were talking before about Pac wanting to get away from Death Row, I really feel that Biggie wanted to get away. And again, it leaves another window open. Like, what if, did he have something to do with it? Did Diddy and Suge Knight collaborate and have something to do with all these things? I don't know. It's so crazy. But I do know that Biggie was super intelligent, man. And he was super smart. Like, even as a kid, he was like a straight A student.
Yeah.
His mom was a preschool teacher. His mom didn't let him slack. She was on him. And his dad, even though his dad left when he was, really young, I was he like 2 or 3 years old or something? His dad wasn't a dumb man by any means either. He was involved in a lot of politics. And with that being said, I just think that Biggie's mind was really smart. And I think he was smart enough to see when he was being used and when he was being taken advantage of and when he was being robbed. And I think he wanted away from Diddy. And at his young age, I almost want to be led to believe that maybe the lifestyle was really overwhelming for him.
Well,
I
yeah.
couldn't imagine being in my early 20s, like 20 to 23 years old, bro, and going from getting by to being a millionaire multiple times over, having anything you want on a phone call.
He had just started getting that money too. That's the sad thing, man. Is first I want to rewind back. You were talking about him in school, and he actually went to the same school, if I'm not mistaken, as Jay-Z, Busta Rhymes, and it's another guy. I can't even think of his name, but man, you know how it is, dude. We got our minds so full of info.
50 Cent?
No, not 50 Cent, dude. It's I'll remember it, and I'll just punch it in there at the bottom. Slap us again. And his parents were both from Jamaica.
They were. That's where his dad was involved in politics, was in Jamaica.
Yeah, and his mom was very strict and stern, and he loved his mother, man. He was very respectful. So, and he was intelligent, man. He was a good student, a good kid. But then, you know, his teachers were always hard on him too. And that was something too that I know through my studies and research on Big, is that, you know, when he refers to Juicy, you know, like Juicy, that's kind of him throwing it back at the teachers, like, yeah, I did it. You know, I went from negative to positive, you know, like, yeah, look at me now, you know. So I just want to throw those little tidbits in there for the people that are listening. And yeah, go ahead, brother. I don't mean to cut you off for this, you know.
No, you're not cutting me off. I completely agree with everything that you said, and you know, with again, like going back to Pac wanted away from death row. He wanted away from all the BS. Why not fake his death? And then, you know, is it possible that Pac got where he was going, got a hold of Biggie? He's like, dude, I did it. Boom, now Biggie does it. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. I'm not saying 100% that's what happened, but I'm saying it is possible.
Yeah, yeah. Because, you know,
I was going to say it was also possible that you know, Lisa Lopez did the same thing. Maybe Pac called her up. He's like, all right, we finally got a place. We got like a compound. We got our own place. Everything's safe. We're good. Money's all good. Blah blah blah. Boom. Now she does it.
And then with his best buddy.
With his best buddy. With all of his best buddies.
Yeah.
You know. And so it's and thinking that Biggie wanted away from Diddy and wanted away from everything. No reason why that couldn't be a plausible theory.
Yeah, I mean, because Diddy was, I mean, people don't realize there was a lot of dirt going on. I know that he won't obviously admit it, but you know, it's not like him and Big was friends from the streets. You know, Big was pushing weight. He was selling dope, you know, at 13, 14, 15, you know, he was out there freestyling, rapping on the streets at 17. You know, there's video footage of him out there just crushing, doing his lyrics. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Source do like an article on him of like something like the hottest unsigned, you know, New York MCs or something? And then,
yeah, I think the Source did.
And then Diddy was like, he had just got fired from his job where he was like working with he was with one of the big record labels. And he saw that. He was with one of the labels. I mean, I don't really get off into Diddy, but he was with one of the labels, and then he saw that article, and then he approached Biggie, was like, yo, I can produce your stuff. I think
there was a time, that could be a possibility. From what I've heard, I think it was an interview I watched with Little C's, and then also the movie depicts it this way, the biography movie, that Biggie was trying to get signed and Little C's was pushing him. And they went and took a tape to Diddy, and Diddy's like, okay, I'm going to sign you. And then next thing he knows, he gets a call from Diddy saying, I got fired from that record company, but don't worry, just hang tight. I'm going to start up my own. Thus became Bad Boy Entertainment.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've never watched the movie yet. I guess I should.
Well, I'll use the movie as a reference because they depicted it that way, but then a recent interview with Little Steve's that I watched where he just got out of prison or something, he mentioned that to the same effect. So that's the only reason I quoted the movie. I don't typically quote a movie.
Right.
But yeah, it makes sense that way. And I think Diddy saw Biggie as a meal ticket from day one.
Who wouldn't, man? I mean, his voice, his technique, I mean, his arsenal was just.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think there was any really big rappers out there either, like Fat Joe and Big Pun. I don't think that those guys were out yet, were they?
If they were, man, it's not like they were super blowed up or anything.
Right. Just maybe in their town or whatever.
You know, and the Fat Boys were more of like a novelty, you know.
Yeah,
there wasn't no big
hardcore.
Yeah, it wasn't no big dudes just throwing it down like. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful because he even says it in his own rap, but you know, it wasn't no big ugly dudes just throwing it down.
Right.
You know, I mean, he even says he's like I'm black and ugly as ever. However, I stayed Gucci down. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
yeah.
he just straight up says it in his lyrics, and he's like, that don't even matter. I'm still getting paid and I'm still getting laid. I mean, that was his motto. You know,
right.
that was his aura. He put off that aura that when he walked in a room, women still wanted him, you know. You know how it is.
Absolutely. And you know what's so funny, dude? It's crazy. Look at like all the old photographs, like the black and white photographs of like all the old mob bosses.
Right.
Big, fat, ugly dudes. Had all the ass they wanted, had all the food, had all the cars, had all the dope, had everything they wanted.
Yeah.
Same way. Horrible. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Biggie had a very unique style. His flow was crazy. You know, he could be rapping to a fast beat, but he had kind of that slower drag kind of flow. And he just had a way of making it fit, you know. He was badass. And I still listen to his stuff at least once a week. In fact, anytime I'm working, I got it on shuffle, man. Biggie always pops up.
Yeah, me too, dude. When I'm driving, I hear it as well. I almost call it like a lazy flow, but I mean, it's not lazy, but yeah, it is lazy, but it's lazy, but it's so hypnotic.
It's just slow. It's slow.
Yeah.
And you know what? Throughout all of his songs, you don't hear much of a fluctuation in his voice. He's always kind of monotone.
Right.
But again, that's a whole different sound. It's something that nobody had. And you put that with some crazy awesome lyrics, and then backed out with some badass old school music, and there you go, dude.
Yeah,
you got it. Yeah. You got magic. Because none of those elements by themselves worked without each other.
Right.
So yeah, that was pretty badass. And you know, you'll notice too a lot of like interviews and earlier concerts of Biggie. He was all gangstered out, right, wearing the bandanas and so on and so forth. But then once he finally made it, it changed. He's wearing suits and things like that, you know.
Yeah, them pinstripe suits with the vests.
His hat, Kane's match, the whole bit, you know.
Rolex watches.
Yeah. Now, did I hear this right? Somehow, I don't know, maybe I heard it from you or something, that Pac bought Biggie his first Rolex?
Yeah, man. That's how close of friends they were, dude.
Yeah, that's so awesome, man.
You know,
I mean, you never bought me a Rolex, bro. baby.
I bought you a Swatch.
There we go. There we go.
Man, that's why I never really wanted to buy into that East-West Coast beef, man. It's because I knew they were buds, man. I knew that they were friends, man. And you could just see it when they were together. And you knew that both of them were just, they were both humble as the day is long, man. And they were, you know, you said it in the first episode. You know, Pac was almost forced into that persona, that gangster persona.
Right.
You know, when he got pulled over and he got beat down over a simple moving violation, and then he got those charges, and then death row bails him out, and he's rolling with Suge. So he just takes on this monster, you know, F the world, you know, persona now, and he's just, it's not him, you know. And then Biggie is like, you know, his mom's sick, he's got a baby on the way, he's had to sell dope, he doesn't want to do it no more, he wants to be legit, he wants to push his music. So he's, you know, that's, I mean, look what he named his album, Ready to Die. And he didn't name it Ready to Die because he was wanting to live. You know, that was how he was feeling, you know, that's how he was feeling at the time. And
think about what you're saying, bro, the emotion that guy must have been feeling. Can you imagine waking up every day and going and selling dope or being a prostitute or a pimp or whatever it is people are into, but going out every day and consciously knowing you're making a decision that may end you up in jail yet again for the same thing, and not be available to your daughter being born and not being available to your mother who's sick, but completely wanting to do all the right things, but you don't have a means to do the right thing.
Right. Not only in jail, dude, you can end up on that cold slab.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? You're having to put yourself in a situation because that's where, you know, that's the only thing you have or know at the moment. And that's your way of providing. And yeah, man, and you don't want to be doing it.
About to go to jail over some $20 rocks. This is lame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But can you imagine though, like the stress of that on a daily basis? Of course he wants to get away from that. I mean, obviously he was a person, he was a thinker. He had a conscience. He knew he was doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. But to have to fight with that personal struggle every day, do the right thing or do what you have to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, I know you on a very personal level, and you know me the same way. There's been times we've had to do things we didn't want to do, but we got kids, man. We got a supply of food, a roof,
right?
You know, clothes, all those things, and it doesn't in there. Can you imagine being a crack dealer and trying to raise your kids? You're never going to be in the right state of mind to give your children all of you that they deserve.
Right. Yeah, I get it, man. You know, and here's another thing too that makes me, you know, how we called Tupac a philosopher, and to me he was, because Tupac was a deep thinker, and on that end, to me, just as much, the notorious B.I.G. was a deep thinker as well, and you can look at his lyrics. Now, his lyrics went another way sometimes, but I'm going to tell you what. There's a song that co-signs where I'm going with this. And there's a person. Michael Jackson, all right, invited Biggie to be on one of his songs. Michael Jackson just didn't invite any old rapper to come do music with him. He didn't invite a lot of people, just singers in general, to come do music with him. So for him to invite Biggie to come do This Time Around with him, you know, do a track on This Time Around, that was huge, man. That says something. That says something. So, you know, and Biggie collabed with a lot of people. I mean, not just Michael Jackson. I mean, he even did it with Shaq. But go ahead, man. I'm taking up so much time tonight.
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. No, I love all the information you're giving up. And, you know, you're right. Biggie was so popular and so hot that even the other artists wanted him on their album.
Yeah.
You know, and I think people rarely get to see the true side of anybody that's in the limelight, any star that lives their life in public like that.
Yeah.
But from everything that I saw, Biggie was a big teddy bear, man.
Mm-hmm.
People that knew him personally, he was a teddy bear.
Sure.
People that grew up with him, his mother, you know, even his baby mamas, you know, he was. You didn't ever see anything in the news about how Biggie went over here and pistol whipped somebody, or
right,
or waffle stopped this guy at the gas station, or whatever, you know. I think he was a teddy bear inside. I think he had a conscience, and once he made it to stardom and saw all the things that had gone on with Biggie or with P Diddy, I think his conscience wore him, bro. I think he wanted out of it for real.
Right. I agree with you, man. I agree 100%.
So I personally don't think he was shot and killed. I think they're all doing their thing, living happily ever after. At least I hope that's what it is.
Right. Well, you know, that kind of where that takes me, man, is when, you know, you and I talked about this off air. Whether Tupac or whether Biggie are still with us, or whether, God bless their souls, they're at peace, and their resting places. There's their legend, their mystique lives on through the people. That's why we're still talking about them today, 2019. Because not only their friends, their fans, and any family that remain want them to still be here.
Right.
People desire to have them be a part of what's going on in today's society, you know, or be a part of what's going on in their life musically. You know, I'm not saying in their lives, like, you know, on a day-to-day basis. I mean, entertainment wise. So, right. You know, we talked about, it's kind of like a Matrix thing. So in the crazed fan's mind, to them, you know, oh, Tupac is alive. And I know it for a fact. You know, that's what they're thinking. You know, do we know for a fact? No. We're just sharing info that we've gained from friends or sources or internet or other means, and sharing it with you.
Right.
But, you know, we got to find your own truths. We say that a million times. And I've had a blast doing it. And I've had a blast talking with you about doing it. And I know you've got more. So if you want to keep talking, go ahead. By any means, I don't want to cut you off. I just wanted to share that because I know we had talked about it off air that, you know, it's funny how the legend of these people is still relevant right now. And right. How their music is still played right now. And how,
it is, yes.
You know.
If they are dead, it's horrible that they're dead. They died young, for one. Mm-hmm. And I think they had a lot of knowledge to give to the world still. Mm-hmm. And through rap, that was their way to do it. That was their way to express themselves and get their opinions out there and their views. And people's opinions and views are important, even if they're different from ours, right? So,
sure.
With that being said, like, you know, the legends of everything, that's all that's going to keep going. The legends of them. Unless they reappear. Or unless we go see Jurassic 5 in concert.
That's true. Folks, I say if you've never seen or heard Jurassic 5, check out Jurassic 5. It'll pique your interest and it'll make you go, Also, I wanted to mention, didn't Tupac come out and had a song that totally described exactly how the Las Vegas shooting went down?
I can't say for sure one way or the other. But I will say that now I'm going to look into that.
We must go to the big screen. Yeah, look into that. I'll look into it after this, and I'll put down yes or no. And
okay.
On the video here, post edit. and to let the fans know, and a link to that information.
Yeah, that's a good question, man.
Yeah, because I was at work the other day and I was talking about the video and for this guy to watch it, and he's like, "Oh man, I heard there's a song floating around out there that Pac did that totally talks about the timing and two guys shooting them and da 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 da." I'm like, whoa, I gotta check that out then, dude. Because if that song came out, then he's alive, people. But anyways, if you don't have anything else on that, man, Nick, I appreciate you coming on, brother. Once again, I enjoyed your time. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And as always, God bless and stay safe.